Peace. Part 2, the 26th of February 2024. So, where I left off just a few minutes ago, talking about this is a crisis. Why is it a crisis? Imagine that someone you love and care for, someone knows where they are, but you don't know where they are, and someone feels that they know best for your loved one than what you know and can put together or qualified to do. Someone who's no kind of blood kin to you, and you don't know where your mother is. Did you see Wendy's son? Oh man, that hurt me. So that's not good. That's not acceptable. Now, another reason it's a crisis is because even though Wendy might be feeling better, imagine how much better she would be if she had a little bit of touch and connection from people who she's used to being around that don't bring her drama. Not everyone in her setting was bringing her drama. Maybe some people were, right? So this is a crisis for healthcare. And it has been said before that it's better to call the American health care system the sick care system. I mean, isn't this an example of such? Imagine this. And this is from someone who knows how it is designed to be, how the policies are created for things to come together smoothly, for the maximum healing, the least restrictive environment in the quickest amount of time. And I'm talking about healing and recovery. I'm not talking about maintaining sickness and explaining what some condition is so other people can know without giving any kind of solutions that would make people's lives better and also reduce the cost of healthcare. All right. So that is a crisis that these things are not being communicated. It's a crisis in healthcare. And if we can't see that, well, stick around and I'll show you what I'm saying to be true. All right. This is a crisis for women. This is a crisis for the women, particularly who are original and indigenous to this land. We call this Black History Month. Well, with the capital B, capital L, capital A, capital C, capital K, Black as in dead, and Law History Month is what this is looking like if we don't turn it around to come to some better conversation about who Wendy is and about who we are on this land as original people to the land, the first peoples to this land, right? I'll just keep it simple right there. We can go into that another time. And with that being said, it's our responsibility where we can to make things better. And I guess part of that crisis is some of us want to make things better. Some of us know how to make things better. And as we're doing so, we're also overcoming the intentional oppression that has been designed to keep us from claiming our responsibility to make it better. But at the same time, with that tension to keep us down, there are also people who are working hard to give us an opportunity to shine and to share and to take advantage of the passing of the baton with the energies and the policies and the just the shift that's going on in the world right now. Things have fallen, and part of what is playing out is some people trying to hide what's really happening here, right? How are they hiding that? Using assets of the working people. Now, yes, Wendy has more assets than most working people, but it's only through the control of these assets does it look like things aren't as bad as they are. However, things don't have to be bad because there is abundance. There really is. It's just that sometimes it takes people time to make a shift, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to make a shift. It's going to be fine. We're not going to leave the world into the hands of those that are fearful and not knowing what to do. Okay. I want to share with Wendy's team. When I say her team, I'm talking about her New York appointed um, public servants, that care team. I want to give them some direction. I also want to give Wendy's loved ones some direction and some hope and some things that if you act on, it'll make all the difference. Um, I'm only one woman, and so I share as a people, as someone who is concerned, but I'm really careful not to bite off more than what I can chew at one time. So, what I can do now is to share and then I can check back in. And I'm looking forward to some good reports, and I can share a little bit more of my time and attention as I write the path for some of the things that have been thrown in my direction to challenge me. Okay. And this is how I know some of this that I'm sharing with you is because I'm learning as I'm um, going through my challenges. All right. So remember, the whole world is watching, and I'm not exaggerating at all. I'm talking about the whole world as our economy here, our energy here, our right decisions here are imperative to the well being of the world economy. All right. How we carry ourselves right now will go down in history. If you think there are other planets like I do, I think some of you might agree that right now they're looking at us saying, okay, what are they going to do right now? All right. There's a new energy coming in. We have all these eclipses and changes in the Schumann resonance and change in the frequency. We got scientists and mathematicians. Thank you, Terrence Howard, letting us know 1 times 1 isn't 1, and we need to fix it. We can fix it instead of trying to hold on to old paradigms. We need to humble ourselves and let our egos go and be responsive to what is being asked of us right now by the universe, right? This is an opportunity to right the ship, right? So I will say that there is a legal case. It's called Terrasol Duty to Warn. And it was made known to me early in my career as a healthcare professional. And this case talks about if someone knows that there's potential danger coming, then they have the responsibility, the duty to warn others. I'm coming with that type of knowledge and energy, right? We can sit around playing like the banking systems are on a sustainable path. They're not. We can switch the path and be fine. But if we don't switch the path, you have some pretty powerful and fearful people who know how to switch the path and receive security interest that could be yours if you knew how to claim it and live off of it. All right. So I say this in the utmost calmness, knowing that there is an opportunity to right the ship. Okay. So for me not to say it is irresponsible. And all it takes is us learning how to stay in the present. And there are plenty of models of change where you can fix it and fix it fast, right? Lots of companies do that, sell to another company, and then the people who come in come with better management come with better know-how, come with better systems, come with more compliance, come with more desire, come with more energy, come with more optimism. All right. And they're able to do something that the team before wasn't able to do. Or even the ones who stay to host the new team, the ones who stay are renewed with energy and renewed with new strategies that help them become more successful. Because right now, what's happening, people who are allowing themselves to be called government, they have to know that the evidence of their success is based on what we look around and see. It's not the people's fault. It's not the people's fault. It's those who are supposed to be leaders. You can look to the leaders. And some of the people who are expected to be leaders, I think some of the women coming up, some of us have been oppressed. So we can also look at some of the factors and the drivers that impact a leader's ability to be successful. And I suppose that even some who might have access to plenty of resources, they might be oppressed by some factors that we're not aware of. We don't have conversations about some of them internal, some of them external. Well, we can talk about that in a little bit. But what I'm saying is, I don't want to be subjected to these thoughts and the communication that we've been receiving about world leaders making plans to reduce the world's population. How does that happen? They just snap a finger? No. They're sitting around conspiring, looking for ways to off people. That's called a threat to harm self or others. If that behavior came along without a big paycheck, we'd be looking to detain them and protect that person from hurting themselves or hurting other people. We have politicians and people who gather around and conspire on ways to hurt others. These type of behaviors are not sustainable. All right. We have people who sit around and think about ways to control people, to experiment on people, right? Without their knowledge or consent. These are very powerful people. Not only do they do that by using the energy and of the uninformed, um, they also are leading these people down a path that is bad karma, right? Because that does come back. And with it comes curses of these oaths that are not right. They're not moral. They're not ethical, right? So I think it is necessary that we consider some of the things I'm going to say, knowing that there might be an amnesty period, right? We need to be able to forgive ourselves and forgive each other for making decisions that bring harm to our neighbors, to forgive ourselves for making decisions out of fear, um, and make room for people to do the right thing without fearing that they're going to be punished for it, right? Make room for people to do the right thing without feeling like, okay, I'm going to lose my job and then I'm going to lose my house, right? We need to make room for people saying, hey, we've been doing this wrong at my agency or at my job. And let's say somebody does fire you. Okay, but you know you're going to be taken care of because the world is open for good order. That's what love is. What is logical for life? LO, logical for life. VIEV, c'est la vie, like that. So that's what we're moving into. We're moving into healing. We're moving into growth. And if we don't, I don't think we're going to be here to talk about it. So I'm just going to be optimistic. Look, when I go to Whole Foods or the organic market, yes, I want to get actually organic food. not high priced food that's seedless and not organic. What in the world? I don't acquiesce to that. I don't acquiesce to our lands being poisoned. I don't acquiesce to our sister Wendy being objectified. And don't get me started. I want to be positive, and I'm going to share with you things so that we can all have a comeuppance and we won't miss this opportunity for healing. Okay. So, oh, another thing I'm going to tell you I want, because our will is important and we have to speak it into existence. I want clean air. I want clean water. I want a comfortable place to sleep at night. I want us to have housing and homes with the right balance. I don't want harmful EMFs in my sleeping environment. All right. I don't want direct energy weapons. I don't want neighbors clicking and pointing. I don't want any of the things that come along with the social engineering that is coming up. And these things are only happening because those who have been in power are used to a pattern. And so we have to be compassionate and patient with people. But we also have to have zero tolerance for things that are not in order. For this is a year of truth. So more truth in 24. All right. So let's begin. That was just my intro. All right. For Wendy's care team, we want to be sure that we are not objectifying Wendy Williams. We're not objectifying her. Why would I say such a thing? Well, that documentary was necessary. That was her will, and that is respectful. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to having someone be separated from their lifeline. She didn't come in the world alone. At least took two people to make her and bring her in. So we don't get to take her away from her loved ones and put her in a corner and make her feel good. That's not improving anyone's level of functioning. And then what happens is statistically over time, when someone is in a setting, there's certain skills that they lose because there's certain good challenges that go along with getting along in the environment. It's called keeping someone in the least restrictive environment. Again, aphasia and frontal temporal dementia are not conditions that are proven to be more effectively treated in a closed environment. So this is what I'm talking about, objectifying her, making her an object of your care. All right. We want to make sure that we don't do that. We want to I'm not sure what type of treatment she's receiving. So I'm not challenging what's happening in there exactly. But I will say this. Let me see. I said something here about it's not easy. I think the statement that was made about acknowledging having such a diagnosis isn't easy. So do you think keeping someone away from their family, from loved ones, makes it easier or more difficult, more challenging? You know, what do you think about that? I want to know this. What in New York is it like? You know, I don't know about that jurisdiction, how things are done. So I would like to know the challenges, the training, the system. I know in some jurisdictions, it's really clear, you know, the legal professionals humble themselves and they lean on the healthcare professionals to help them know which way to go when it comes to what is good care, to have a magistrate assigned to an attorney, healthcare responsibilities. Then I have these questions. Well, actually, let me go in this order here that I have this. Um, we want to make sure that we are not comfortable at all with any kind of expectation. So, not knowing the full circumstances around the situation, um, is it not possibly an opportunity for her to be exploited when there's no one in the as far as loved ones, her blood kin, able to visit her regularly? What kind of reassurances is the family being given? Are her fans being given? What kind of reassurances is the public being given to know that she is receiving the utmost care that money can buy? And out of everything that was said about what's happening with her, I didn't hear anything about that, about the top notch care, about the healing frequencies, about the um, natural remedies, about the things that are known to reverse and heal these conditions. I didn't hear anything about that. And I mean, I think she deserves the best. So I would love to know about that. And you know what? I've lost people in my life that, had I known then what I know now, they would still be here. So this is no little thing that someone would be withheld from the best treatment available. You know, she has God given rights, and her God given rights are protected internationally. And as far as a guide for those God given rights, we can see the Organization of American States Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People and the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Okay, so when you read that, clearly you will be able to understand what I'm drawing from as far as my expectation of excellence when it comes to her. All right. Not like she doesn't have any money. It's not like she didn't work hard. It's not like there's a lack, right? It's 2024 and we have the internet. So, like, even if you didn't know what to do, I'm thinking, like I said before, if Wendy Williams is on my caseload, I'm going all out to make sure I figure out what to do. I'm going to listen. If I was an attorney, I would call somebody, I would hire somebody to counsel me, even if I was working with the organization who's not providing the services that are customary. So for instance, you can call and get a consultation, right? Let me just give you an example. An inpatient facility, who's a social worker? Who is a social worker? Because a social worker is going to be the one, first of all, it's something that should be covered in Medicaid services, not just Medicaid, but insurance services overall, right? So private and public, it's a lot of the same standards, right? Medicaid and Medicare, you think of these things, they're insurance programs, but these programs just supplement for when people don't have the funds to care for themselves. That's what social welfare is about. People think that, now I'm not suggesting that Wendy is receiving Medicaid or Medicare. I know better than that, but I also know that those programs are social welfare programs, and people tend to think that social welfare is only for people who have like less income. Some social welfare programs are nowhere near designed on how much funds that someone comes in. So therefore the guidelines and the standards are going to be similar. So when it comes to insurance, which is a social welfare program, insurance is a social welfare program in general, right? Um, you're going to look at some of the standards and guidelines, and they're not going to be different. It's not going to be like if you pay a premium that's $1,000, you're going to get way more than if you pay a premium that's $100 when it comes to healthcare, because certain things are just basic, okay? And then with these insurance companies, certain things just not going to be insured. If you need it, you're going to have to pay for it yourself, all right? So just know too, everything is cause and effect. So when I hear the care team talking about Wendy's diagnosis, um, to not address the cause of it, or to think that you're going to address the cause of it in patient care, that's not reasonable. So whatever she's experiencing and having success with, like, at what point do you start to merge and prepare for discharge? The preparation for discharge should start at day one. So that's why friends and family need to be engaged on day one, so you can start to prepare for the integration back into the community. So, with that being said, I would like to know um, well, it's not that I want to know. I don't need to know right now. But these are the things I'm curious about, and this is what the care team should be addressing. But when it comes to the Graves' disease and the lymphedema, right? What are the sustainable, low cost, natural healing remedies that she is entitled to? Which ones have been applied to her situation? Does she have natural healers coming in and doing this for her? This is inexpensive. This does not cost a lot of money compared to some of the medications that treat symptoms versus reverse symptoms. Look, in 2016, there were a lot of people who knew how to heal that were off. We don't have to pretend anymore that we didn't see that, or we didn't notice that, or we don't recognize what happens to people with our background, the indigenous peoples of the world. All right. Nowadays, we've outlawed the sale of natural herbs, and then we make it legal to put toxic poisons in there, and then make people get a prescription to get what was already perfected by the creator. See, these things are not going to last. It's not sustainable into the new energies that we're going into. We're going into righteousness and we're going into truth, right? So, another thing that helps is sound healing and frequency and movement and light, right? She can get that at home for cheaper. Maybe she's getting that now, but tell us that. If you want to give hope to somebody, give us hope as it relates to how to actually heal from these things, right? Like I said, the troubles that people are having with homelessness and going from border to border, it's not that there's not abundance. There is abundance. We don't have to pretend like there isn't abundance. So, and we can just help those who are trying to hold on to their oppression. We help them heal. We'll help them learn how to dance, how to move, how to be okay. And what is it that people actually need? It's not even about the money, because those who know how to earn, they know how to create money, right? They just want to be in control. And yes, some of the things that have been going on and being done to mankind and man, womankind and woman, some of these things are punishable by guillotine, but nobody's calling for that. We just want righteousness. Okay. So, um, I would like to know, and I would like to just strongly recommend, I would like to know if the attorney has all the support that she needs to provide care. For instance, a social worker, not a psychiatrist, not a psychologist, not just a regular uh, case manager or a bachelor's level social worker with not that much experience, but a full fledged, seasoned social worker. And I'm not even talking about the highest level of social worker, just someone who has experience, someone who knows how embarrassed ah, that the team should be right now for not reaching out and preparing and meeting all of Wendy's health needs. It's health and wellness, not as I believe, but as documented and as expected by the United States Department of Health and Human Service. Most of the public health workers there are healthcare professionals, whether it be occupational therapists or social workers or medical doctors or nurses. There are a whole plethora of professions that are represented at our public health service right here. We have everything we need right here. So the thought that anyone who is skilled and proficient deliverance of service would allow this woman to go so long without being in touch with her loved ones is just unthinkable. It's not acceptable. And so we just want to make sure that the attorney has the support that's needed because I can only imagine a heavily populated state, there might be some kind of loopholes with the training. All right. So the bankers are worried about the funds, but a caregiver is worried about, not worried, but is addressing every aspect of wellness, socialization, spiritual needs, connection to whatever religious customs or healing ways that is healthy for her, right? Recovering from, I know she was using substances to deal with some of the things that she was going through. And that's another thing we have to talk about. How about the direct energy weapons? How about the EMFs? Do the healthcare professionals even know that that's the thing that people are exposed to? When are we going to say no, no more of that? We don't have to continue to leech off of people's energy just for a living. When are we going to say, I'm not going to take dollars for slow killing somebody who doesn't look like me? Because that energy is going to come back to you. All right. So I saw a piece of the clip where it talks about she was saying she missed her family. Like, that's not good. That doesn't help healing. And well, I'm opening up this conversation because I know that we have to address the problem. We have to identify the problem before we can address it. So I'm not blaming any one person, but I am mentioning that these are some things that we want to talk about. And it is okay to say, I don't know. All right. What is not okay is to pretend like everything is okay. All right. So I do have these things that I want to mention. The Attorney General of New York is Letitia James. So Letitia James, surely she knows where Wendy Williams is, or she could easily find out, right? Because all the attorneys are assistant attorneys general to Letitia James, I would think. Or if not, there is a bar association in which there is an affiliation, and we will be able to find that out. And so, even a simple letter from someone, from the loved ones, to Letitia James stating their right. Now, there is more to it, but even this would be a good start. You can handwrite a letter. It don't have to be perfect. You don't have to find an attorney. You can just say, on my own right, I would like to know where my kin is, right? And that whatever right you felt that was violated, you could send it through the judiciary system, but you could send it right to the attorney general. Or, and you can send a letter to Robert Rodriguez. I think he's Secretary of State for New York. All right. These are people who know where Wendy is. Now, if you write them and they don't respond to you, give them 3 days, if that long. Call their office, send an email with love. All right. Another thing is Molly Wasow, Wasow. She was appointed by Mayor Eric Adams as the Department of Social Services for New York. And I think she has a connection to the Bureau of Adult Protective Services. Now, Adult Protective Services is usually designed for concerns outside of a facility. When you have a loved one in a facility and you're concerned about what's happening with them, you want to call the ombudsman office. So, um, they might, Adult Protective Services, which is for the community, might be able to put you in the right direction. So it's 1-844-697-3505. That is for Adult Protective Service. They may not be able to help you, but they could forward you or direct you to the ombudsman office. And just in case that's not what the office is called there, for facilities that need to maybe receive an investigation. Because here's my question: is there not a social worker assigned? If there's no social worker assigned, why not? Is that not the policy for social worker on the staff in New York? Who does the discharges? Who does the care team? Who facilitates the care team? Because maybe a nurse, but even a nurse doesn't have the same training as a social worker. And I'm not trying to minimize the value of a nurse. Nurses are very, very valuable. I come from a family of nurses, but I've also worked in settings where there are nurses and social workers. And many times the people who have acute healthcare needs will benefit most from a nurse. When their behavior matters and the need for a high level of teaming amongst professionals, your social worker might be a little bit more proficient in that. All right. Because there's a little bit of difference in what's required for the professionals. Now, there is the Office for Civil Rights, Department for Health and Human Services. That number is 1-800-368-1019. Office for Civil Rights, Department of Health and Human Services, 1-800-368-1019. If you have a little bit more time, find out who is in charge of that department, and you write an email and a letter to them and say the truth, which is, I've been denied access to my loved one. That's not commonplace. It's not common practice. I have a right to my loved one. All right. So back to the social worker. If there's no social worker at whatever agency that is there, I would be pursuing learning about who is funding her stay there. Is it out of her state? Is it, I mean, what funds are covering her being there? She does have an estate. She has an estate beyond the one that is commonly talked about, but that's another subject. My battery is low. Imagine that. Excuse me for one moment. Okay, we won't make this too long because my battery is tripping. So the next thing is finding out about the healthcare administrator of that facility, right? What are the standards of practice there? If they don't have a social worker, are they short somebody? Are they short staff, or they just don't think one is necessary? If they have one, then who is it? Because you might want to call and document that he or she has not been fulfilling their duty to stay in touch with the loved ones. Also, the attorney grievance committee, right? Um, what is the expectation? Maybe if there are no social workers, it's a shortage of social workers, might be some difficulty there, but I can't say. But these are some things, some avenues that you can pursue, right? Rather than just feeling hopeless or feeling lost, right? There is such thing as the New York State Education Department, the Office of the Professions Board of Health, okay? And there you will get a little bit of more understanding. So